This is my favorite part of the agenda because this is where we get up close and personal. Fireside Chats were instituted in HITEC to celebrate success and really get to know the people that achieve success. And there's not such a thing as overnight success. So it is my pleasure and honor to be with Nina today. And I'm just gonna, and the fact that she took the time to come with to talk to us, but also sponsor the organization. So I'm going to read a quick bio, and it'll take about 10 minutes. No, not really. But anyway, so Nina is recognized as one of the country's more celebrated entrepreneurs. Recognizing the extreme demand for IT in 1996, she founded Pinnacle Group with $300. We'll talk about it during the Fireside Chat. And providing IT talent and solutions for the country's largest companies in the past 20 years. Under her leadership, the Pinnacle Group has grown explosively, making the Inc. 500 and 5,000 fastest growing companies list for 11 years in a row, eventually becoming the fastest growing women-owned business in America, a Latina. Amazing. As a trailblazer in IT solutions, Nina has been named to the Goldman Sachs Most Intriguing Entrepreneur and the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year, and she's been inducted into its Hall of Fame. She has also been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Fast Company, Forbes, Clipper Inc. magazine, and the list goes on and on and on and on. For over a decade, she also has been named as one of the 101 most influential Latinos in America. The list just came up, and you'll see it. We will refer to a publication that summarizes that, along with our president, Andrea Arbeláez, and currently serves in the boards of 3 public companies. We have a board fit program, and many of us aspire to be in public companies, at least one, but Nina has 3. So we'll ask what are the secret of success and how she got there. Although impressive background, her business success is only half of the story, because you need to be an inspiration. She's been dedicated to promoting entrepreneurship globally and expanding the pipeline of technology and STEM to make sure that we are well represented in the world economy. She was appointed by the former administration as a presidential ambassador for global entrepreneurship. And she's traveled across 5 continents to share her story and empower the next generation of entrepreneurs. Nina is a German Marshall Fellow, a British American Fellow, and an Aspen Institute Henry Crown Fellow. She's Chairman Emeritus of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and serves as the Chairman of its foundation. Before we get to talk to Nina, she was gracefully shared with us a video that she put together to inspire a lot of our youth and making sure that people know that it can be done. So can we cue the video, please, and turn the lights down?
20 years ago, I started my first company with a not-so-crazy idea that one person, one entrepreneur, could make a difference in the business world and in the community. And every day since then, I've been driven by one single idea: to be crazy good. Today, as we have grown Pinnacle to be one of the fastest growing companies in America, what is most satisfying is the difference that we're making in people's lives, and how we can use that success now to inspire others to contribute to organizations and to use our leadership to actually make a difference, not just in our hometown, but across the world.
We understand that when women succeed, America succeeds. The economic power that women have in this country is incredible.
entrepreneurship, and hope are universal languages. They can go through challenges and obstacles, and they can inspire people to start businesses, to help in their communities, or to truly make a difference. What I am most passionate about is reminding people that they don't need permission to follow their dreams. And 20 years later, I've learned a lot of things. Surround yourself with people that truly want to see you succeed. And whatever you're doing in life, be crazy good at it. Be crazy good.
Wow. Amazing. So Nina, you know, we were talking before walking in that she was born in Quito, Ecuador, and I was born in Arequipa in Peru, which are cities almost in the same, I guess, latitude, longitude.
Who said Peru and Ecuador can't exist in the same place?
Oh, come on. Best buddies. They're sitting over there.
There's two more.
And, you know, it's great. So how does a gal that was born in Ecuador moves to L.A., no, he goes to L.A., studies speech communications, graduates with business administration in University of Texas, the State University of Texas, and then eventually gets to be the chairman and CEO of a billion-dollar company. That's an amazing story. What a wonderful, ride. What are the things that you could share about how you got there, but also what Pinnacle does and how you saw the opportunity?
Sure. First of all, let me begin by telling you how grateful I am to be here today. HITEC is an amazing organization and one that I have a great respect for. So I just want you to know that I'm the one that's really honored to be in front of you today. I know firsthand how difficult it is to grow an organization, and leadership matters. So congratulations to Andre, congratulations to you, Mr. Chairman. Please, let's give him a big round of applause.
Oh, come on, to everybody.
You know, I kind of ask myself that sometimes too. I'm watching the video and I'm thinking, how did this happen? Where did 20 years go? I just aged myself, by the way. I guess I should try to tell you a little bit about my background, because I think that'll it'll give you some insight to who I am. And we're here to be vulnerable. We're here to share. I'm here to share with you. I come here with an open heart and an open mind in hopes that you'll realize as I walk off the stage that you and I are probably a lot more alike than we are different. And I hope that you realize that the opportunities in this country are abound if we surround ourselves by the right people. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background, but the business side of the house is absolutely unequivocally surrounding yourself by the right people. And I would be remiss, because I get a lot of credit. As the CEO, I get a lot of credit, and I also get a lot of blame if things go bad. But in this case, I've gotten a lot of credit, and they are 5 people in my team here today. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize them. Kyle Pittenger, Sandy, all of them. Could you please give them a round of applause? Those are the men and women that actually built the billion-dollar business. They're the ones that are out here every day. Come on, Kyle. Danny McCreech. Those are the guys. Do you want me to tell you a little bit about background?
Please do.
So you already said I was born in Quito, Ecuador, so technically I'm an immigrant. My parents moved to the United States in the 1960s. So we were a very traditional immigrant family. My parents came here at a very young age. My father is one of 12 children. And so there's a lot of values and a lot of lessons that are passed on when you're in a family of 12. My mother and father really moved to the United States with a suitcase and a dream. So when you don't know the language, my father worked 3 jobs. He parked cars at night, worked in the factory during the day. You get the message, right? Probably most of you, I'm looking around, you're so young, but you may have similar experiences. I grew up with a mother and a father that are, before my father had to work 3 jobs, he had 5 children. Then he ascended to finding his American dream through entrepreneurship. So I grew up not only in a family-owned business, but in a Latino-owned business, which means I started working at the age of 10. So today I have some pretty good work ethic. It's pretty hard to outwork me. I never ask anybody to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. And my mother became a civic activist. She was to the Ecuadorian community what I strive to be to the Hispanic community. And she became the chairman of La Fede, the Federation of Ecuadorians in the United States. She became eventually an honorary consulate of Ecuador, deemed by the president. She was in the fight between dual citizenship and the right to vote. Today, Ecuadorians can vote in the United States, largely because of a group of people, and one of them was my mother. And so eventually she became the Commissioner of Human Rights for all of North America. So if you can imagine my home, I grew up with an entrepreneur and a civic leader. And so my whole life has been dedicated to do that. And it gives you a little bit of insight to my personality. At home, there was a lot of values that were embedded in my heart and my mind, literally in my soul. And of those values are family, orgullo de ser Latina, the pride of coming to a country and bringing your best self, education, credibility, among all things, and hard work. And so those are some of the values, watching my parents rise and fall and rise and fall. At 12, I learned what a foreclosure was. I didn't know what a repossession was, and I had to learn all those things when I grew up. So my upbringing, I think, has a lot to do with who I am today.
Wonderful. And actually, throughout that process, you also understand the value of giving back, right?
Absolutely.
Which
Absolutely.
embodies the same thing of what we're trying to accomplish at HITEC. But, those values were instilled in you because you had mentors, you had people. Your parents obviously were your first mentors and inspire you.
Well, they started with my mother because my mother gave back her whole life, right? I mean, you can't get named, by the way, an honorary consulate is an honorary position with no pay. Congratulations. And you can only get it from the president of the country. And so you would have to do a lot of things to become an honorary consulate. And for me, my mother was never really impressed with business success. I started my community service with the Chamber of Commerce. In fact, some trivia, okay. I still have it today. My father used to be the chair of membership for the San Fernando Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I lost my father when I was 17, but I still have his chamber card. And so his little girl went on to finish the job, and eventually, through a lot of hard work and dedication, I became the chairman of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to honor my father.
Wow. Amazing.
Thank you.
So along the way, what gave you the idea to start Pinnacle, and how did Pinnacle came about?
So Pinnacle came about through at the end of the day, all I ever knew was entrepreneurship. Because my tias, we all immigrated, and nobody had a corporate job. Nobody in my family has ever worked for corporate America that I could recall. And so all I ever knew was entrepreneurship. But I had the opportunity to go get an education. And when I was 15, my father was in the travel business. He brought the Sabre system to the office, and I was fascinated with the Sabre computer. And my sister and I used to have races, on the computer, who's faster. And I was just fascinated because the travel industry was a very manual industry. If you recall, you were handwriting tickets. You remember that, right? Oh. I remember that. I was handwriting tickets, and don't you dare make a mistake. And so I went off to college. I grew up in Los Angeles. I went to school in Texas, and I started my career in New York. And I don't think I really knew what I was getting into when I took the job. I was the first to be in corporate America. I took a job in New York. But I was in information technology because I knew it was growing, and I was just genuinely curious. And the personal part of it was, had my father as an entrepreneur embraced technology sooner, perhaps he'd still be alive today. And so I had many reasons why I went to technology. The truth is, I don't know what the bio says, But the truth is, I went into technology because I was curious. I was curious. It had a personal effect in my life, and I knew it was a growing industry. And I fell into an opportunity. And what a good entrepreneur does is they see a need in the marketplace and they fill it.
And then I read some of your, biographies online, and Pinnacle goes through different growth spur cycles, right? And I also read one that you got inspired by the events in September 11 as well, which is, something that made waves in our nation, and also spoke to an opportunity, right? Maybe can you talk about that?
Sure. I can talk about it in the context of maybe it'll be helpful. I don't know if there's any entrepreneurs in the audience, but the theme of it is, never let your circumstances define you, and never let a good recession go to waste. I started the company in 1996, and actually things were great. I mean, I was 25 years old. The company was growing. We're a service organization, so there's not a lot of inventory. It was at the height of the dot-com era. We were making money the day we opened our door. And life was good. $2 million in revenue, $5 million in revenue, 20-something years old. Things are great. Decided to get married and have a baby. I had a millennium baby, and then by the time I had my second daughter, who was born 2 days after 9/11, the company was devastated. We almost went out of business. I went from 25 contractors, which back then was huge for me. Today, Pinnacle has over 5,000, but 25 contractors, we were down to like 2. Mm-hmm. Our corporate headquarters were like 2 employees. And those were some of the hardest points of my life. We almost didn't make payroll. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, when you have to go into the office the next day and fire somebody and one of them's related to you, I don't know, those are some pretty hard times. But there's 2 ways to get out of hard times. You can cut your way out, or you can grow your way out. That's it. You're either cutting cost, but you can't cut your way to prosperity, or you grow. And so we hunkered down. I took advantage of the opportunity in the marketplace. People were laid off because of 9/11. There was a lot of really smart people in the marketplace. And yes, I recruited some of them to come work for free. And, I just built a team of really smart people, and I gave them a vision. And I said, someday we could be the best in the industry. We could be the best in the city. We could be the best in the state. We could be the best. Someday we could have a building with our name on it.
Wow.
And you know what? That someday came in 2010. We launched our own building, the Pinnacle building, and the headquarters are in Dallas, Texas today. And some of those people are still in the room today. So they're the ones that get the round of applause.
Wow, that's amazing. Now shifting a bit in terms of where your vision of Pinnacle goes, because the theme for this conference is digital transformation and how we, not just businesses, we're becoming increasingly digital. The way we learn, the way we communicate, the way we interact is digital. So how do you see Pinnacle evolving and continue to drive that leadership that you have established already?
So just to give you some context, I guess I should tell you what Pinnacle does, right? Maybe we should start with that. Pinnacle provides IT labor to the Fortune 500. We have been doing that for 21 years. We have 3 divisions of the company. One manages contingent labor. It's an MSP that manages suppliers that does that. We either provide the IT labor or we do payrolling. So we generally, our industry mirrors GDP, right? We know what's happening with the Fortune 500 because a lot of them are our customers, right? We serve the Accentures of the world, the Verizons, the AT&Ts, the Comcasts of the world. They're all our customers, the Capital Ones, the Bank of Americas, the Goldman Sachs, the Northern Trust, and so on and so on. And so a lot of times we'll know what companies are doing and how they're transforming. And our customers, a lot of them have decided that they're not in their respective industries anymore. You're absolutely right. AT&T doesn't want to be known as a telecom company. They're a technology company. Comcast refuses to be a media company. They're a technology company. And so the way that they evolve, we have to evolve. So Pinnacle has been on the fastest growing list, thank you, for 11 straight years as a result of answering to that flexibility and always being on the leading edge. We have to work really hard to think about what are the leading edge technologies and how do we get ahead of the game? And then it's what's popular next, right? Today we're talking about talent pools and community pools, talent communities. And so the way that we do it is we have remained extremely nimble and flexible and adaptable. And we've leveraged technology to our benefit. I am not a fan of bricks and mortar. We have our corporate headquarters and our centralized group in Dallas, Texas. We also have some sites naturally in India, in Jordan, and in Vietnam. But today we have 14 people, we have people in 14 states. And so you have to follow technology and use it as an enabler in your business.
Wonderful. So let's shift towards your work in the community. HITEC talks about push up, pull up, and mentors that had made an impact. Let's get personal first. Who were people that you refer as your mentors or as sponsors to get where you need? And obviously, it's not the people you work with. Sometimes it's people outside your network. Are there any people that you remember? Don't have to be by name, but people that actually made an impact in your career.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, there are people inside Pinnacle, outside Pinnacle. The closest I will always tell you is my mother, right? She's always the one that's pushing.
Yep.
She's doing a lot of pushing.
Yeah.
But she's the one that wasn't impressed with business success. But for me, today, is we have achieved collectively success. I always say you can't be what you can't see. And this is why I take the time to do things like this, because we cannot be what we cannot see. And in particular, there is a moment I can talk about, because I have a lot of mentors and a lot of people I respect and I admire for a variety of reasons. But I went to a conference once, and my mentor told me to go to the conference. I had just had yet another baby. I don't know if that was 3 or maybe 4. And it was 8 months after, I didn't want to travel. It was in New Mexico. You have to take 2 planes to get there. Who wants to do that? And I said to him, I think I'm going to sit this one out. He said, no, Nina, this is a Latina-only conference. You really need to go. I want you to go. Here's your ticket. I'm a sponsor. You're going to be the guest. And so I fought back and forth, and then I realized, 70% of leadership is just showing up. So there I went, and I went to the conference, and it was a very tiny little conference, about 50 people. But man, they were the right people. And I saw 3 women on the stage. One of them was Linda Alvarado. She was on the board of PepsiCo. The other one was Vilma Martinez. She was on the board of Anheuser-Busch. And the third one was Maria Sastre, and she was on the board of Darden Restaurants. And I was so inspired. And from that day, that minute, at that conference, sitting in that chair, I said, I want to do that. If they can do it, I can do it. And I made it a personal goal to befriend every single one of those women. Vilma and I just had lunch together in Los Angeles a couple months ago, and I told her that story. I thanked her for being my inspiration.
Wow. And now you're in 3 corporate boards, so a lot of people in the audience think about what is the secret? What is the secret handshake? Or how do you get to be a member of a public company board?
So,
and your responsibilities as well, because it's not just being appointed.
Yeah, it's, by the way, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And when you do, you're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize it. They are a lot of work. I always feel that the HITEC audience and the HITEC membership are really probably some of the most prepared people to go on board, in particular because of the advent of technology, because cybersecurity, because AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. There's a tremendous amount of boards that are looking for technology talent. But, the road to the boardroom for me was through entrepreneurship. Rule number 1, be good at what you do. I called it crazy good, but it's real. Whatever it is, if you're a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, an entrepreneur, whatever it is you do, you have to be exceptional at it. Like exceptional, like people talk about it. And I think it's really important to use your leadership in something other than your day job. right? Because people need to see your leadership in something other than your day job. Nonprofit boards are a great way to start. National boards are a phenomenal great way to start. By the way, my first board was my homeowners
Association.
my HOA, yeah, my homeowners association.
great.
I was 25. I bought a condo,
Get
and
involved,
there were 16 owners, and I didn't like the way they were dealing with the trash and the flowers and the stuff like that. And so they said, we only take 8 board members. And so I raised my hand and I said, I'll do it. And so half of it is raising your hand, using your leadership, and getting involved.
In the importance of networking, right? Because these people have just are investing 2 days of their day-to-day job to come here to not only learn and pick up ideas, but also get to know other people.
That's absolutely right. In fact, I was just on a panel this week, and the moderator asked me a key question that I really want to repeat, because I think it's probably the crux of what we're doing here at HITEC. And the question was, what in the world do we need to do to get more Hispanics in the boardroom? What in the world do we need to do to get more Hispanics in positions of leadership? And my answer was twofold. Number one, we need to make sure that first of all, you need to get there. You need to get to the table. And thanks to HITEC, we have a great amount of people who are at the CIO level, right? And if it wasn't HITEC, how do the CIOs, they're off building their careers, doing their business, but they need a platform. And you'll find that they actually want to engage if they're asked, right? But if there isn't a platform, a venue to come together, then it's very difficult for them to make material change. But the second thing, so number one, you need people to be at the table. But the second thing, and probably the most important thing, is you need those people when they are at the table to actually use their experience and their advocacy and their leadership and their influence to help pull up. And I think that's what HITEC is all about. I have lost count of the people that I have helped, whether it's getting on a panel, whether it's getting on a board, whether it's getting funding, whether it's being an angel investor. And I really believe that we should live our lives that way. Mm-hmm. And that is how we as a community will continue to thrive, is help each other in a meaningful and material way. Sometimes it means give someone an opportunity. Sometimes it means giving someone a recommendation. I'm a British American fellow. I just nominated Claudia Mirza. She will be flying to the UK and representing the United States of America as a British American fellow. Wonderful. Every year I nominate one. Beto Cárdenas, I nominated him. He became chairman of BAP. Wonderful. Become involved. I'm a German Marshall Fellow. They only pick 5 Americans to represent the United States abroad in 5 different European countries. I became part of the nominations committee. You bet your butt a Latina was selected that year. And by the way, I don't even remember her name. And she didn't get it because she was a Latina. You know why she got it? Because she was damn good. But there was only one that was selected, and it was a dogfight with the judges because they were all great. But if there wasn't somebody in the room to mirror and bring their experiences, I think that really matters. And so for me, that's what HITEC is all about. The pull-up and push-up. I've got a lot of stories. I may have been the first woman in the history of Cinemark. I replaced Roger Staubach on the board of Cinemark. And that was 3 years ago. And today, there are 3 women on the board of Cinemark. And the first thing I did is I got on the Nominations and Governance Committee. And again, the other 2 women got on not because there were women. And by the way, they're not Latinas. Okay? You have to pick the best of the best. There were already 3 Latinos on the board, but there were no women. And so you have to be an advocate of bringing people on, and they don't always have to, you just give people an opportunity. But my point is, I think it's important that we all think that way. And if you do that every day in your life, regardless of how big the opportunity is or how small the opportunity is, I think we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I want to encourage many of you, because the HITEC board is going to have about 4 position open. We're going to nominating some people. So if you're interested, approach any of the members of the board, send an email. There's also through the website. And again, you got to be crazy good. You're going to be really good because it's not just because you're interested. You're going to get selected. We want people to get engaged and going to make this organization what they want it to be. It's not what Andre, Mirna, Frank, myself want to do. It is you need to get engaged. It's not just I want to have this the position in my resume. So let's shift a little bit more towards any audience questions, because I think time is running out, because maybe that's probably bigger value. Okay, can we have a mic? And we have somebody walking around with a mic. We have one in front. You're not with Pinnacle, are you? Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Otherwise, you
Yeah,
can
'cause
ask that
Pinnacle
question.
can't speak.
You can ask the question from Nina privately. Here in front, can we have? He raised a hand first. Ladies first. Okay. You'll be second.
Hi.
Go ahead.
I'm Cristina Castañón. I'm the CEO
Can't
and
hear.
founder of an artificial intelligence and robotics company.
Oh, wow.
My question for you is, how do you balance? Being a CEO is tough. Having the responsibilities of families into the decisions you take impact families, plus your own. How do you balance all these things?
You know, that is the $1 million question. I forgot to mention I have 4 kids, 5 if you count the husband. Nah.
All right. We're getting personal here.
Husbands need love too.
We have 13 minutes.
And you know what? You asked the $1 million question as a woman. I have lost count of the soccer games and the football games and the Halloween and costumes that I've missed. But let me give you my answer. The right answer is the one that you can live with. Most women beat themselves up. And I always tell women, do not beat yourself up. Somebody else will gladly do that for you. And I believe, I used to kill myself when the kids were young. I would take red eyes. I would not buy the Halloween costume, but have it made, and I'd have someone make it and pretend I did it. I mean, I would get up, I would wake up at 5 in the morning and bake the brownies so that they were homemade brownies and not store-bought brownies, and I'd take my suit off and put my yoga pants on when I went. I mean, I was crazy. I mean, I would do all sorts of crazy things like that. And, you know, as I matured and as my children matured and got older, I realized, you know what? I don't think my child is going to remember, and this is a little controversial, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
Go for it.
You know, I don't think my child's going to remember whether I was at the Halloween party when they were 2 or 3 or not. But my child will remember. I decided that I wanted to lead by example. And the most powerful thing you can do for your children, there is nothing more powerful than the silent example. And so I said, I'm going to live my life in a way where I want my children to learn from me and the things I do and the things I say and how I dress and how I act and how I treat people. And today I have to tell you, I am the daughter of a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And I couldn't be prouder of the children that they've become. My daughter is a missionary. She's traveled to Cuba, Costa Rica, and Ecuador, the Ecuadorian Amazon. My kids have been starting little businesses in the house since they were little. My daughters, they both ran for cheer captain this year and lost. They've ran for president and lost. Yeah. And when they come home and say, Mom, I lost, I said, no, you didn't lose. You won today. Let's go out and celebrate. Because if you're not putting yourself out there, you lose 100%. You don't make 100% of the shots that you never take. Amen. And so I celebrate when they do things. Even I said, you never lose, you just don't get the deal.
I'm going to try to speed up. Right. So ladies have three more questions. Go ahead.
Hi, Nina. Congratulations on your success. You're an inspiration for all of us that have daughters.
Who are you?
Nacho Mingerens from Fannie Mae. So one question, I don't know if it's in the news lately, the Google engineer, they just posted the manifest bro, that they call it. Wow. So where they think that women are biologically not adept for technology work, and especially in computer science. So what are you doing at Pinnacle? Yeah, it's actually a paper, you look it up. His name is Damore from Google, who got fired. what are you doing at Pinnacle to help with that problem? Because in the 80s, everything was going up. And all of a sudden, something happened in the 80s where women stopped going to computer science degrees. So what are you doing at Pinnacle to
Great
help
question.
with that?
You know, I'm glad you asked the question because it's a kind of put your money where your mouth is question. And so no disrespect for the men because we have a lot of amazing men at Pinnacle. I mean, some of them are here today. But Pinnacle headquarters is 66% women. My general counsel is a woman, my head of HR is a woman, my controller is a woman, my chief diversity officer is a woman, my chief of staff is a woman. Our top producers have been women for the last 8 years. That's because Kyle got out of producing and he went into managing. But there are 8, I mean, the last almost decade. And 66% of our headquarters are women in top jobs. How did that happen? That happened because at Pinnacle, I've allowed people to bring their entrepreneurial spirit. And we, of course, you're talking about a CEO who had 4 kids, right? We have a saying at Pinnacle, #family first. And so we measure you and we run the company based on your performance, not whether you show up at the office or not. And we've created an environment that's so amazing for women. And we just naturally ended up with 66% women. So we like to say we're women-led, women-fueled. But there's a lot of amazing men in the office too. But that's how we do it at Pinnacle.
Amazing.
Hi, Nina. Congratulations to you. Like everybody said, you're an inspiration. And I'm curious,
Who are you again?
Oh, sorry.
And who were you before?
Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, what were you did?
Jorge Tittinger. I'm an advisor now.
Former CEO of SGI Public Company.
What's the future for you? What are your aspirations beyond business? Do you have any political aspirations? Any of those kinds of aspirations?
Oh, there it is.
We talked about it on the phone. I said, let's not talk about that. But okay, Jorge. I didn't do it.
So I'm going to answer your question really honestly. For the business, I'm going to ask you for the business and then for personal. For the business, there are no limits to where we can go. We are one of the largest minority-owned businesses and arguably the largest Latino-owned workforce solutions company in America. I think that Pinnacle can be as big as it wants to be. And to be candid, we're at a tipping point. My friends, I know I talk about growth and revenue and awards and it's all great and sexy, but the reality is I'm here to be vulnerable and I'm here to tell you my real answer. We're at a tipping point. There are 4.2 million owned Hispanic companies in America. Less than 10% are over $1 million. Why? Because we can't scale or we don't have the resources to scale or we haven't had the opportunity to scale. Pinnacle is at a tipping point. We're no longer a tiny little company that the big guys can push around. But we're not as big as the publicly traded companies either. So you know what we do every day? Every day we're earning our keep. Every day the public companies or our competitors are trying to bury us with their money, bury us with their marketing. And so the only difference between a big company and a little company is a number. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. I cannot put into words how amazing it is to grow, but how scary it is to grow. Because we're at a place where we're competing against publicly traded companies that can eat our lunch. And so now more than ever, because we're one of the very few Latino companies that has made it to that proverbial spot, is how can we get there? And don't think that isn't weighing on my mind. Don't think all this press and all this exposure isn't weighing on my mind. And the minute we fall, it's like, oh yeah, we knew that would happen. Now more than ever, we hunker down and we're really good at who we are. We gotta clear the field and we have to continue to succeed. Because it's scary to be up here, I tell you. It is very, very difficult. But we can be anything we wanna be at Pinnacle. On a personal level, the more success that Pinnacle gets, to be candid, the more opportunity I have to continue to be the voice of if we could do it, others can do it too. Pinnacle has a responsibility. We spend $100 million with minority-owned companies ourselves. We put our money where our mouth is. And I think that for time immemorial, the Hispanic community has not had the opportunity to be a seat at the table. And so from a community perspective, I do plan to continue to succeed. I plan to continue to take roles and be in places that Hispanics are not. but I'm not going to go there by myself. My personal passion is I'm going to bring my community with me. And we need to create a society and a fraternity of each of us that help each other succeed. So that's my business goal and my personal goal. Will I run for office someday? I used to say no, no, no. Now I say no, no, no.
That was a good one. Any additional questions from the audience? I still have questions, but I wanted to give you an opportunity for you. Yulisa?
Thank you.
Your name?
Hi, Hanina. I'm Julissa Judd from Lockheed Martin. You have a spark to you. At the moment you walk in, you have that spark.
Oh, that was me. Come on. Sorry.
So my question is, you talked a little bit about the legacy, that you want to leave, championing other Hispanics in the business world. But when you look at somebody else, you say you have to be crazy good. Tell me a little bit about the qualities that you look in somebody to say, yes, he or she will make it. We can shape them. We can, they're somebody that can go all the way. If I can do it, that person can do it. As opposed to 10 other people. What stands out for you? What qualities would stand out for you?
That's an excellent question. I did the interview when we won the fastest growing women-owned business in America. I did the interview, and the woman said, how did you do it? And I said, it's not how did we do it, it's who we did it with. And I started to go down the line of people at Pinnacle. One's a farmer, one's an entrepreneur, one grew up in Missouri, one grew up in a farm. And I started going down. So to answer your question, I look for hunger in the belly. Most people would say, oh, of course Nina made it. She had Matt Rose and all these great mentors. But I always tell people to become a magnet. You don't ask people to be your mentor. People come up to you and say, I want to be your mentor. I like what I'm seeing here, and I think you could possibly do something with that. So I look for attitude. I look for hunger in the belly. I look for, are they a good human being, right? Because money only makes you more of who you really are at your core. And you've seen that evidenced by celebrities, athletes. Who you are at your core, money just exasperates that. And so I have surrounded myself and architected Pinnacle with amazing human beings. And then we teach them the business. And you have positive ambition. I teach my daughters positive ambition. Look, our business is not rocket science. It's complex. But I look for hunger in the belly, and the people that I like to mentor are people that I know will pay it forward. Because then I know that the ripple effect and the mentorship and the help that I give that person, it's going to be 100-fold by the time we're done. But that's an excellent question.
I have one more question. I had a loaded question at the end.
And I'm standing in the way of drinks.
But quickly, yeah. Well, they can bring the drinks inside, can they? No, sorry.
No, Nina, it's a pleasure meeting you. Gaston Sandoval from Quito, from IBM.
Oh, all right.
There's always one. I
It's
love
amazing to know that you're from Quito. Actually, my son told me about you. He went to the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Program, and he was talking about you. So he's a friend of Mark. He was just pinging him.
Of course,
He's like,
I'm part of the
guess
curriculum
who's
there,
here?"
yes.
So, quick question. I grew up in Quito as well. Went to engineering school there. Came here. What is your take on developing more technical talent in Latin America?
Oh, I love that question. Well, not just technical talent in Latin America, but technical talent in the United States. I'm going to share a really scary statistic with you. Like when I heard it, I was like, I had to go fact check it. 65% of elementary school students today, 65% of elementary school students today will be doing a job that does not exist. 80% of the vast new jobs in this country, that's besides Latin America, in this country will be STEM related. Like STEM is this tsunami that we're all kind of like talking about, but we're not really doing enough about it, fast enough about it. The United States of America does not graduate enough STEM talent to meet the needs. End of story, period. Which is why we need to develop that talent in Latin America and quite frankly, all around the world. And so now I am obviously not a mathematician, you figure that out. I'm not a technologist, I'm not a scientist, but even on the fringes, if STEM is a target, even on the fringes of STEM, look what we've been able to create. And so I think that not only do we have a responsibility to develop STEM talent outside of the United States, because the United States is not meeting the need, but also inside of the United States. If I could take a shameless plug and tell you what I'm doing in Dallas, in my home state. So one of the things I've learned about leadership and about execution is that if you want to affect global change or national change, it all starts local. Mm-hmm. It all starts local, right? So I'm a Henry Crown Fellow this year. We had to do a project, and I said, this is my project. This is how I'm going to create meaningful change and put my pepita de arena in the future of STEM. In Dallas, Texas, it's only the second state in the country to do this. We started a collegiate academy. Industry, that means the AT&Ts, the Bank of Americas, the Walmarts of the world, 20 of us got together. Pinnacle's the only entrepreneur, put your money where your mouth is, partnered with 12 high schools and 12 community colleges. We adopted Thomas Jefferson High School. It's 97% Latino. I don't know what that means. That means there's one person that's not Latino. But I was like, so we partner with them. It's a tri-party agreement. Here's what we're doing. They started this year. The cohort will graduate next year. No, it would be 2000. Yeah, we started last year, excuse me. The cohort graduates in 2018. When that student, and by the way, these are high schools that are first generation. These are high schools where the mother and the father are working hourly jobs, and they are first-time college hopefuls, okay? That's a different segment of the population that we're talking about. When they graduate next year, they will have a dual degree. 1, a high school degree, and 2, an associate's degree with a technology track. We're pumping out 500 minority, largely Latino students with a STEM education every single year.
Wow,
That's
wonderful.
Meaningful.
You know, we run out of time, and they're telling us, oh, look, come on, there's 2 people who want to do that. Okay, well, one more. But she was there first, right? She's going to be mad at me.
Uno más.
Please, go ahead. Tell the bartender he's going to have to stay half an hour more, okay?
We'll all take shots. We'll catch up.
Hi, Diane Gill with Bank of America.
Hi.
What has been some of the most constructive feedback you've been given throughout your career that you would share with us?
Wow, constructive, meaning criticism, right? Okay, good. I was going to ask you, what are your regrets? Is there any regrets? Go a little bit with that.
I'll answer her question and then your question real quick, because I know I'm standing in the way of drinking and having a great time, by the way.
We had one before we came in, so.
You weren't going to tell anybody about that.
It's okay.
Constructive criticism. You know, when we used to lose a deal at Pinnacle, I would lose my mind. Because we work so hard, and the last thing you want to do is lose a deal, right? And in 2007, we bid for our first MSP, and we bid PepsiCo, and we bid BMW. And I have to tell you, I actually told this story 2 weeks ago in Pittsburgh to a PepsiCo executive. I pulled him over. He's resigning. I mean, he's not resigning, he's retiring, and I told him this story. After I waited till he retired to just, no. We lost the PepsiCo deal. And we won the BMW deal. And that's the best thing that ever happened to us. What I learned is it's not what happens to you, it's how you react. And you can't lose your mind anymore. I still lose my mind a little bit, but I try to do that in private. I always know that Pinnacle isn't for everyone. The customer base we have, we tend to work with industry leaders, and quite frankly, you can't be all to everyone. And you're going to find customers that see value in you, that see a good partnership in you. Get the ones that believe in you and grow them, take care of them, nurture them, become a partner, use all your assets, give everything to them. And I think it really matters how you take your news, and I learned that. And so today, whenever I get bad news or when things don't go the way that I want them to go, I swallow hard and I think to myself, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. You asked me, what are my regrets? And I will boldly and confidently tell you I have no regrets. None. I feel like life is a domino. Whatever you do here, whatever happens here affects what happens here and here. I have a very blessed life. I wake up in the morning and I feel privileged. I feel a tremendous responsibility in what I do for a living, but even a bigger responsibility for what I do in the community. There are not a lot of people that have been at this juncture in their life, and if I don't use this success to help other people, then what the heck am I doing it all for anyways? It's a great question.
Thank you. There was the last question over there. They don't want to give you a mic. There's a sign.
You can yell it out.
That's a sign.
Just don't make me cry.
You can,
So your story is very inspirational, and we appreciate you sharing all the details.
and who are you again?
My name is Rinaldo Gonzalez with Cisco Systems. And it's very inspirational, everything that you've gone through and what you did. So for someone that wanted to have a very similar impact or positive change like the way you have other people, how would you go about funding or help or support to allow someone the opportunity to do something like that you've been able to do? So if it's someone like for example, myself, and I'm sure the people also participate in STEM or other volunteer groups, but trying to make a positive impact. So sometimes that takes time and money and dedication, work, off work. So how do you go about funding or getting the support you need to make that happen if it's something that you can't get through, say, your work, for example?
That's an excellent question. And again, I'll shamelessly say that the success that Pinnacle has allowed me to do that. And so our number one is we have to make sure that we take care of that asset because that allows me to do some. Oftentimes people ask me all the time, like, Nina, you're a Henry Crown Fellow, how can I do that? Or you went as a GMF Fellow, how can I do that? Or what? And so I want to help as many people as I can. And so I've leveraged technology to do that. Last year, I launched ninavaca.com. And if you go there, you will find my ecosystem. You'll find HITEC. You'll find a link to HITEC. And so I'm also a triathlete. I like to swim, bike, and run, preferably in the same hour. I believe in being physically and mentally fit, allows you to be fit in other ways in your life. And so if you want to run a triathlon, you can get the recipe there. If you want to be a German Marshall Fellow, the application is there. If you are interested in the Aspen Institute, there's a link there. So I find that it's not enough for me to be an inspiration, but I have to give you the information too. And so that's my way of inviting you into my ecosystem. And I also make myself available, right? To meet people. I plan to stay tonight. I want to get to know everyone. I want to hear about you. Now, obviously, I may not be able to help everyone in the room, but I'll do the best that I can with what I can and at the time that I can and to the best of my ability.
That's great. You already done it because you're an inspiration and you shared what it took to be successful. You're no overnight success, only 20 years in the making.
Only 20 years in the making.
And the harder you work.
The luckier I get.
Yeah, and then what is the other mantra that we talked about? You need to get involved in order to get the opportunities. If you don't do that, then nobody's going to come. The questions you're saying, how do I engage? Where do I go? This is exactly what we do. And HITEC is the platform for us.
I was just going to say that. As we close, I have to tell you, HITEC in its 10th year has worked extremely hard. There has been I would imagine, a lot of sweat, blood, and tears to have the right caliber of people sitting at this table. And we owe a debt of gratitude to the founders, to the board, to everyone. Yes, let's go ahead and do that. It has created a brand. It has created a respectable and formidable brand so that people like the ones we saw on stage come join. And then you get the benefit of having their presence, their guidance, their mentorship, and hopefully their friendship. I can't tell you how powerful that is. I seek to do that every day in the work that I do. And I think that is an incredible and important asset to the growth of the Hispanic community, because wherever go the Hispanic community, I truly believe goes America.
That's great. If you want to learn more about Nina, she got just interviewed in a Hispanic Leader magazine. I know they're going to put it up, so if you want to learn more about Nina's background, she was recently highlighted as one of the most influential Latino, along with Andrea Arbeláez. So thank you, Nina, for your time.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to both of you. And now we get to go to have some drinks. Do you want to do any closing?
Yes, I want to say thank you very much for a wonderful day today. Nina, you are an inspiration to all of us. I really think that this last session actually closes what we are in terms of HITEC. People with great careers, with great stories, with great passion, and a real inspiration to all of us. So Nina, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.